I'm sorry, Congressman. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No.
That's all he needs for his next campaign, a bunch of naked liberal talk shows.
Well, really, no, I'm curious about what the congressman thinks about the Democratic Party.
People ask me, you have Democrats who are talking about cutting Social Security, cutting Medicare, Medicaid benefits, canceling the alternative minimum tax, which is a $1.7 million giveaway to the people in the top bracket, in bed with Wall Street. Why in the world are you a Democrat? I get asked. And, I'm doing missionary work, okay? Because I think what's going to happen, Mike, and I started, as I start to go around the country and I see people responding to the economic issues of our times, don't look for the change to come from Washington. That's not going to happen. It's coming from here, okay?
Right.
That's number one.
Right.
Number two, I mean, what do you think? Would you think of the Tea Party or not? One thing for sure, that change did reflect something that was happening at the grassroots that a lot of people missed. So here's the things that I think are going to happen. First of all, I think you're starting to see an awakening among organized labor. They've taken a hell of a beating because we never had trade policies that protected steel, automotive, aerospace, shipping, seen manufacturing decline. Labor unions are now starting to organize for grassroots political participation. Why? Because the right to strike, the right to organize, collective bargaining, to have a decent wage and benefit, to have a safe workplace, a good retirement, that right is being annihilated. So working people are organizing. That's actually the next wave within the Democratic Party, and that I think is going to collide with the corporatists who currently are in charge of our party, the people who have basically sold out to Wall Street, who went along with the bailout, who went along with the kind of tax cuts that help Wall Street. Right now, we have to ask ourselves, why in the world should we have 14 million people out of work and Wall Street's rolling in dough? Yeah. It's wrong. There's something wrong with this economy. So the change comes with labor unions. That's the next Democratic Party movement again.
That's my question. Look at what's happening in Wisconsin. Look what's happening elsewhere. Look at the polls that 70-something% of the American people are on our side. They don't think Medicare and Social Security should be cut. They think rich people should pay their fair share. They don't give a crap about the debt ceiling. They care about the jobs and economy. If they're so on our side,
why doesn't
what's
matter?
happening in Washington
Why
right
doesn't
now?
that? For instance, 70% of Americans wanted a single payer option, a government single payer option in the health care bill, and yet nobody on either side listened to them.
But that's the That's the failure of the Democratic Party.
Well,
and don't forget the teabaggers are not. They didn't start out as an adjunct to the Republican Party. It was a new movement.
Right.
And I hate them all, but it was a new movement. And that's what I'm saying about the Democratic Party.
Let Norman
Hang on, Mike.
Excuse me, Norman. Go, Norman.
There is a big disconnect between the corporate leadership of the Democratic Party and us.
Well, that's it.
And you see it in Wisconsin. You see it in all the states where the people are rising up. I asked Governor Bill Richardson, I walked up to him at the Democratic National Convention 7 years ago in 2004. Out of the blue, I said, what does the Democratic Party stand for? Here's your messaging. I said, what does the Democratic Party stand for? And this was the response. Unions, women's rights.
I rest my case.
And then he looked at me like I'm an idiot. You ask a Republican what their agenda is, no taxes, no regulation. Boom, we're done.
What's the last thing a lawyer says when presenting evidence to a jury?
I rest my case. Well, the thing is to get around, look, trying to amend the Constitution to get rid of the Citizens United case, which is what it's going to take, is a monumental task. And as long as those teabagging morons are in the House, that'll never happen. What we need to do is use the Howard Dean and the Barack Obama system of $5 from 1 million people, and then use that money for TV ads, radio ads, go online, and run these people. And we need to understand the power of small amounts of money from a large group of people. If we get rid of these ridiculous labels like conservative, which they are not, and liberal, which I don't know what the hell that means anymore, if we just talk about issues, if we drag it down from the theoretical to the actual and say, protect Social Security, protect Medicare, take care of American jobs for Americans, Clean up the tax code. Get rid of corporate welfare. You'll have 80% of the people on your side. Just don't label it. Just say we're the majority party.
You know,
Thank you. I rest my case.
And it's remarkable. It's remarkable how easy, or at least how simple, some of the stuff would be. Not that it's, you know, it's not easy to get anything done, as you know, in Congress, but for instance, Social Security. Has anybody asked why your second, third, fourth, and 20th $106,000 is so sacred, but your first gets taxed, all of it? Why don't, you know, if you make $106,000, 100% of your income, all of your income is taxed, Social Security. If you make $106 million, 1,000th of your income, you pay payroll taxes on, Social Security tax on. What sense does that make? Somebody making $106 million could afford a lot of money to go to Social Security.
Paying his FICA taxes after his first paycheck every year.
Right. So the rest of it is just gravy
Ron,
for him.
let me
just
let me add something. This feels like ancient history right now. But Ron, you remember, Randy, you were there. Many of you were there. When Air America was being launched, what became evident to me that what we've lost as Democrats is our fury. We've lost our anger, and let me tell you why I know that. I remember being in a room. No, not Michael. Not Michael. Not Michael.
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy, Mike.
But hang on. I remember being in a room, Randy. You may not know this story. I'll tell you right now.
Oh, no.
We're in a room trying to raise money for Air America. The fire talker, I mean, the hottest property we got is Randy. She's so good. I mean, she just every day cut and slash. And so I'm in a room with a bunch of what I call Wall Street Democrats. Now, all of us had put in money till we were bleeding. I mean, you know, here it is, here's $1 million, here's another. And so we're going to the rest of the Democrats, we're going, well, you know, where are you guys? When are you going to start helping? And what was evident to me is they don't have the anger that Randy was trying to deliver, the anger that you want. You're mad as hell, aren't you? Okay. And that's why you tune into Mike and Steph. Yes, Steph, that's why you tune in these people. But in that room, the people who had the money, including, by the way, George Soros' son. You know the story? No, we can't do that because you're too angry. Well, that's what has lost its effect. As Democrats, we used to be angry. We used to be the people who were in the streets on civil rights issues. We were hand in hand like they are in Wisconsin right now. But leadership, where the money is, has forgotten that. And if we would just deliver that anger, it's like I tell my young lawyers, I was telling somebody earlier, you can't be a great lawyer unless you find your anger. And we'll never be a Democratic Party again unless we find our anger. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Wait a minute.
all right, Stephanie, yes.
Mike, I got to chime in here as the purveyor of the fart jokes on the panel. I don't think Mike Malloy or Randi Rhodes are great talk show hosts because they're angry. I think they're great talk show hosts because they're great talk show hosts. And I think that's an important difference. What we do is entertainment. What we do is entertainment. We get ratings and we sell stuff. And I think that's what's key, Mike, is that not everybody, no offense, but not everyone in Air America was as talented as Randi Rhodes. And I think that there is the people on this stage obviously are, but I'm just saying that I think that that's an important, on either side, on the right or the left, if we're just doing talking points and we're whatever, that's not entertainment. No. They're great talk show hosts because they're great talk show hosts. You know what I mean? Like, I think that
you know what is interesting, though, is that just like they came after you with your Sexy Liberal tour, and just like the liberals came after me. I mean, I got fired, I got sued by a defense contractor. Right. Yeah. I mean, and those guys, those Wall Street guys were terrified of me to the point where I went and did stand-up comedy. As you know, I know there's a woman here who was there that night because she told, hi. And you're the one. So, and you know, I said the F word, which is why I'm so skittish now about the language, because I mean, somebody's recording this, and they come after you. They'll find any little thing if you tell the truth. If you're really hardcore about telling the truth. Mike got fired filling in for me. That's. I was getting fired, and Mike was filling in for me, and they fired his ass too. I was like,
2-for-1.
it was a
And you know
twofer.
what? And you know what? That was 4 days after I got the Best Talk Show Host in New York award.
Right.
That's great.
Right.
All right.
Right.
We're going to take a break in 1 second before I got to ask this question because it's been asked in this packet about 8 times. Ron, when are you coming back on the radio full time?
Yeah.
Don't know. I don't know. I'm probably going to work on another book, and I do a little bit of radio on the weekends now and again. Mark Green, who you know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sorry, but painful memories.
Yeah, there was an eye roll.
we
you
know
know, if you didn't see it. Yeah.
He has a show with kind of both sides now. It's called, and I'm filling in for Ariana Huffington, and you know. But
Do you have to talk like this, darling? Do you have to talk like
I
that?
know.
I need
It
some
sounds like a
titles when
cooking
she's
show.
on TV.
It's a cooking show.
so I should give up trying to do the Greek accent, I guess.
Cream and a little bit of egg. All right, thank you. We're gonna take a break, but we'll be back in just a little bit. Thank you. They're gonna keep talking. So just, let's go back to this question about it was described at one point as like anger. Are Democrats angry enough, and is the tone enough? And this gets to our president. Comes from Sue Swanson of Redmond. Are you here, Sue? Why not?
It's a nice day out.
That it is a nice day. Anyhow, interesting question. Posed in an interesting way. While I really had nothing major against Hillary, I was always for Obama. However, now I cannot help but wonder if I made the right decision. Obama seems to be trying to prove that he's a mediator, a moderate who can work both sides of the aisle. He grew up as a black man in a white world and had to get along. Hillary, on the other hand, would have felt that she had to appear to be tough enough to deal with the big guys. She's a woman who pushed her way into a man's world. I'm wondering now if maybe she would have been the better choice in dealing with the Republicans. What do you think? Anybody? Anybody?
Let me
We'll
dive in on that.
we'll start at the far
I
end.
can
Let's
do
go
this.
in
I
order.
can do this really fast. Stephanie, I'll do this really fast.
If my aunt had a he'd be my uncle. That's all I have.
That's a really hard act to follow.
Okay. Yes. Molly, you can ask your dad about that later. What that is.
Well, we have the benefit of hindsight now. Hillary presented herself in the primaries as the pugilist, right? She was the fighter. And Obama was not. So if Hillary were the president today, she'd be fighting. The question is, what would she be fighting for? I am afraid that there would be virtually no difference between her on the substance, on the merits of the policies. She's just another corporate Democrat that's clawed her way to the top.
She'd be up against the same Republican intransigence.
She's just going to, there'd be more blood on the floor, but we'd still make no forward progress. I would not spend any time, if I were you, I would not spend any time lamenting, and if I were Sue, and speaking as an attorney, if I were Sue, so as a cheap joke, I'm not Stephanie Miller, I apologize. If I were you, I would not spend a moment lamenting the fact that Hillary is not president. Things would not be any different. I'm sorry to be the bearer of that bad news. She's just another corporate Democrat, and until we change the leadership or start a new party or do something to really shake up the dynamics, we're just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic.
I think she's been a fabulous Secretary of State, I just want to say.
Yeah.
And the gentleman to my left here is proof positive that a true progressive has a hell of a time getting his party's nomination in the Democratic Party.
that's right.
Let me just say this. Look, we have to, collectively and individually, we have to stand with the choices that we've made. I mean, this is about, we choose, we get a chance to choose again, but, if you keep on trying to recut every choice that we make politically, we don't learn anything.